So next we are going to create our models and a repository and DTOs to just help us access data and also format our schema. So in here I like to create a directory called models, and then inside models I'll have DTOs. Then inside DTOs then I can have one of these models. Let's say I want to create the first model for the user, or rather the first DTO for user. So this will I'll just call it user DTO. And then this one will now enable me to access the user details. So you can keep it as class, or you can use records for this depending on your preference. So I'll just have some 3 items here. I'll say there is the first string which I'll call full name. So I need the full name of the full name of the student, and then next I'll need the email address, and then finally I'll need the username. This is what I'll use now to display the data back to the profile API. And then to make it to give it some getters, data, and constructors, I'll use that data longbook annotation, and also I'll have a builder here to enable me quickly initialize this item when I'm building the object. So that's it for the user DTO, and the rest DTOs will create. So let me first create now the models, and then we'll complete the rest of the DTOs. So I'll create a second class. I'll call it inside models. I'll have entities. I like to put them in a directory where I can easily find them. And then, for example, let's start with the user entity. And this is the only entity that we'll be having. So you can also have it as so for this one you need to have it as a class. And then inside that, this is when now we can define the rest of the stuffs that Hibernate, will use. For example, I can define the table to just tell Hibernate that this needs to be a table. So I'll just say at table, and then I'll say give it the name. Name of the table will be users. That's the name of the table that I want. And then next I can say this is an entity. Like that. I don't know why this one, probably my so this one needs to be to auto pick from Jakarta persistent. I don't know why it's not picking. Probably there's one thing we left on our repository when we on our dependencies when we are. Oh, sorry. So JPA, did we really had a JPA repository? Probably forgot that because I don't remember selecting it. So JPA repository, so it's not there. So what I'll just do, instead of going back to the Spring Initializer, I'll just grab that from Maven dependency. I'll just pick the Spring Boot Starter JPA from Maven repository, and then I'll come and add it here. So you can easily find this by going to, so you can just easily go to Maven and just say Maven repo, and then you go here and search for JPA. This should be able to assist here. So Spring Boot Starter JPA, and then you can pick whichever version that you want, like this one. So you can grab, or maybe leave this version to let Spring Boot decide for you. So you can grab this, and that's what now we are having in here. So after that, I'll update my dependency and we continue. So in here, after we have updated our dependency and added this JPA, data JPA, now we can go back to our entity. So in here, after importing the Spring data JPA, we'll need to have 2 items here. So this one, we can just define this table as users, and then say this will be an entity, and then we can use now longbook to set our data. Maybe say all argument constructor and no argument construct. So we need all of these created, but I know this one is created with the data, so we can just leave it as that. And then here we'll have a number of columns. So first one is the ID. With this one, we need it to be generated. So I don't know why I imported this from Jakarta data. Yeah, I think this one should be from Jakarta persistent, and then generate. We'll say generate value, and then that value just give it a strategy of how we want it to be. So just say a strategy. Strategy will be is equals to generation type. We just say generation type. Then we give it we want it to be, is it an auto incremented or an ID or UUID? Depends on you, but we can just use this auto generating. And then we say here this one is for easy readability. We just say the column should it be nullable? We say false, so it can't be null. Then we say this is private integer or long, either way, whichever one that you prefer, ID. So after that, you can say use the second one. You can define the second column. These will be also nullable. I don't want this be. I want it to be nullable. I don't want it to be null, so I'll say nullable false. Then this will be a private string called the full name. Remember how we set up our DTOs. So having these, I can easily duplicate it a number of times and then continue with this. So the second one, I'll just say I want a unique field here, which is also nullable false, but we need this to be, let's say, email. But this email, I need it to be unique, so I'll say unique true. Then also I want it to have a particular length, not more than 100 characters. And then you can just leave it as string. The third one will be the password. So let's say I want a nullable field, which is a password here. Should be password with string also should be okay. And then we can now come here and also do the same. Create some number of items here. They say so. The other one will be the created time. So I want something like created at to know that when this user was created or added onto the DB. And then in here now, this one will be not nullable but updatable. This one will be updatable true. Updatable false. You can't update this, so but because you want to just put it as timestamp here, so you just say have it as timestamp, update timestamp. That's another Hibernate option that you can use to automatically, during creation, that one will be automatically populated. Though you can leave it and then populate with your service, but that one will need to you need to be aware of your timestamp for that to be well. And then I'll also say this has a different name because I've used camel case here. So in here I'll just translate it to created at, because this is how I want it to be on my database column. And then also the data type for this, it will be date. Yes, I can say date created at is equals to that. So the same I can do for updated at. So I can just copy this, then have it for updated at, and then say updated at, and then I'll just say the same here, updated at. Yes, and then now this one for updated at, I'll just put the name, because now this one I'll always be using it wherever I want to update it. So I can just say name is updated at, and then I'll leave the update timestamp when this one is done. So this one you can update any other time that you want to update, but on our initial creation it will be set to our current. So after this updated at, we have a number of now something here that we need to do from Spring Security. So this one will automatically create our schema, basically with all these fields: created at, updated at, email, full name, password, and ID. So this is our general schema. But now, because we want to read tokens using Spring Security, we just had something here. We say implement user details. This one will come from Spring Security. And so this one will claim some number of implementation, or rather methods that you need to implement. So we can just implement some of the method, which is authorities, maybe, and username. Those two are okay. Let's just implement them here. Yeah, so we have these two. So we have implemented first is the authorities, which returns a list of the authority, or what we authorize the users to use. And then we have an override here for get username, which we need now to specify based on what do we want to return as the username. So in here we can just say this one will need to return the email. That is what we'll be using as our username. And then a couple of other overrides that we can use is we can say public boolean to just check on the expiry and say is account not non-locked. Just check if the token has expired and stuff. This one will use it when now we start doing the token expiration. So this one will return is account unlocked, will return true. And then we can have another one here. So this one will just update it as an override. Just say this is an override. And then it is a public is account none. And then we'll pick another one here which will say is account non-locked, and the second one will be, so this one is non-locked, then the first one you can say it is non-expired. Yeah, and then also the same, it will return true, and also is account unlocked, and unlocked, that one will return true. Then also this one is an override. You just need to say this one is an override, and then we can add one more. We can say is credential none expired. We just say credential is credential none. So you need to really check on these spellings. None expired, we'll set that to true. And then finally we can say is enabled also. Is enabled, we can set it to true. So you can just check these in terms of the spellings and stuff, just ensure everything is okay. So for this get username, I think we need a getter for the same, but anyway, not for now. So we can just continue null marks. Yeah, so that's okay. So we can still continue with that the way it is. Yeah, so this is our model. So we have successfully created our model for the user. Now we go to complete our DTOs, and then we move now to creating the application logic. So the first one that we had was user DTO. So the second one that we can have is login user DTO, so that at least we know when you're logging in, which data do we need you to pass. So we can say this is login user DTO. So this one will specify the data that we want you to give us when you're logging in. So I'll just say I need your email and password. So I'll just say my private string email, and then my private string password. Those are the two items that I need you to input whenever, or I'll need the users to input whenever they are logging in. And then whenever you're registering, I'll need some more of items. So I can just create a new class here and say register user DTO. So this one I'll use during registration. So on registration, first I can annotate this one as data so that I don't forget. And then on this one, I'll just say I need a string of email. And also I need two more. So I'll need also a string for the password. And here you can say even, you can enter the confirm password. And then I'll need your full name like this. So this is okay for the user registration DTOs. And then that we are done with setting up our models layer. So the next item that we're gonna do is now to create our various controller, or rather services or controller, whichever. So we can start with, first we can start with a package for services, where we'll put now our application logic.